I never thought I'd be the guy telling this story, because I never believed it could happen to me. I always figured cheating was something that happened to other people. You know, those couples who constantly fought, or who got together too fast without really knowing each other. That wasn't us. Or at least, I didn't think it was. Her name was Emily. We met at a coffee shop when I accidentally took her drink order. She laughed, I apologized, and somehow that one awkward moment turned into 3.5 years of memories. We clicked in a way I hadn't experienced before, like we were made for each other. We moved in together after a year, adopted a dog named Milo, and even talked about getting married one day. Nothing ever felt forced. We shared late-night takeout, binge-watched crime documentaries, and left little notes for each other on the fridge. It was simple, but it felt like home. I used to think we had it all figured out. The little arguments we had never lasted long. We always made up before going to bed. She was my person, and I honestly thought I was hers. But love doesn't always protect you from betrayal. Looking back, I can't pinpoint the exact moment things started to shift. It wasn't one big thing. It was a series of small, quiet changes, ones I chose to ignore until I couldn't anymore. At first, it was subtle. She started going to bed a little earlier than usual, saying she was exhausted from work. I didn't think much of it. Everyone gets tired. Her job could be demanding, and I figured maybe she was just overwhelmed. But over time, I noticed she was pulling away, inch by inch, like the space between us was widening, no matter how much I reached out. She wasn't as present anymore. When we watched movies together, she was constantly checking her phone, not laughing at the same jokes, not leaning on my shoulder the way she used to. Her smile still came, but it felt like it belonged to someone else. Then there were the conversations that used to last for hours. They turned into short replies and vague nods. She'd go out with friends and come back quieter than usual, sometimes not even saying good night before slipping into bed. And the worst part? She started taking her phone with her everywhere, even into the bathroom. Locked screens, hushed tones, random texts at odd hours. It was all there, staring me in the face. But I didn't want to be that guy, the insecure boyfriend who accused his partner just because things felt different. So I rationalized it. Maybe she was just stressed. Maybe I was overthinking. Maybe I was the one who needed to be better, more attentive, more supportive. So I tried. I planned little date nights, left her notes like we used to do. I even started making her coffee in the mornings again, just the way she liked it, hoping it would bring back that closeness we once had. Still, something felt off. My gut was whispering to me, but I kept pushing it down. Then one night, I saw a message pop up on her screen. It was a text from a guy named Mark, a name I didn't recognize. She quickly swiped it away and said, "It's just someone from work. Nothing important." I looked at her, trying to read her face. She smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. I saw a text pop up from a guy I didn't recognize. She said it was nothing. I wanted to believe her. And I did, because the alternative was something I wasn't ready to face. After that message from Mark, something shifted in me. I tried to shake it off, tried to believe her, but the seed was already planted, and once doubt takes root, it grows, quietly, stubbornly, even when you don't want it to. I started noticing more things. She suddenly had a lot of girl nights, even during the week. She'd come home late, sometimes smelling like a different cologne, not mine. I told myself it was probably from a crowded bar, or maybe someone she hugged goodbye. But still, it stayed with me. She also started putting more effort into her appearance when she went out. New outfits, perfectly done makeup, spritzes of perfume she hadn't worn in months. I used to love watching her get ready. Now, it felt like I was watching her prepare for someone else. I didn't want to be that guy, the one who checks phones or questions everything. I hated how I was starting to analyze every word she said, every pause in her sentences. But the more I tried to trust her, the more my instincts screamed at me. Something was wrong. The stress started bleeding into everything. I couldn't sleep properly. I'd wake up in the middle of the night and just stare at the ceiling, trying to figure out where things went wrong. My appetite dropped. At work, I was barely functioning, zoning out during meetings, pretending everything was fine while my world was unraveling behind the scenes. I still hadn't confronted her. I was scared that if I brought it up, the truth would confirm my worst fear. So I held on to the silence, hoping it would all blow over, that things would go back to normal. But then came the charge. I was checking our joint bank account to see if I could cover rent early when I noticed it. A dinner bill at a fancy restaurant, one I knew we hadn't been to in months. It was from 2 nights ago, the same night she said she was with her friend Jenna. I stared at the screen for what felt like forever, my heart pounding in my chest. That was the moment I knew. I couldn't ignore it anymore. I couldn't sit with it anymore. That night, I waited for her to come home. The house was dead quiet, except for the ticking clock in the living room. My stomach was in knots, my palms were sweating, and my mind was racing through every possible outcome. But no matter how I spun it, the truth was clawing its way to the surface, and I couldn't pretend anymore. She walked in around 9, casual as ever, dropped her bag, kicked off her shoes, gave me a distracted smile. "Hey," she said, heading to the kitchen. "Want anything from?" "Who is he?" I asked. She froze. Just for a second, but I saw it. That split-second flicker of panic. She turned around slowly, trying to play it off. "What are you talking about?" I stood up, trying to keep my voice steady. "The restaurant charge, the one from 2 nights ago. You said you were with Jenna." Her face paled. She opened her mouth, then closed it. "It was just dinner," she finally said. "A coworker, Mark. We grabbed a bite after work." "You mean the same Mark who messaged you late at night? The one you said was nobody?" Her eyes welled up. "It's not what you think." "Then tell me what it is, Emily. Because right now, it feels like I've been sleeping next to a stranger." She started crying, and that hurt more than I expected. Not because I felt sympathy, but because those tears were real. Real guilt, real shame. "I didn't mean for it to happen," she whispered. "I was lonely. I felt like we were drifting apart. And then, it just happened." That phrase, "it just happened," hit me like a slap, like her cheating was a stumble, not a choice. Everything inside me shattered. The love, the trust, the years we spent building something. It all came crashing down in one breath. "I would have given you anything," I said. "All you had to do was talk to me." She tried to reach for my hand, but I stepped back. "I can't do this." I grabbed my keys, walked out the door, and for the first time in years, I didn't look back. It felt like my entire world had just split open, and I was falling through the middle. The days after I walked out felt like a blur, like I was watching someone else live my life while I just floated above it. I moved through the motions, but nothing felt real. I didn't sleep. I couldn't. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw her face. Every quiet moment became a trap door to some memory I wasn't ready to revisit. I'd sit on the couch, staring at the framed pictures still hanging on the wall. Us at the beach, at her sister's wedding, laughing in the kitchen while covered in pancake batter. I couldn't bring myself to take them down. It was like I needed the pain, like I had to sit in it to fully understand what had just happened. My phone buzzed a few times. Friends checking in, asking if I was okay. I told them I was fine. I wasn't. I stopped answering calls, ignored texts. I didn't want comfort. I wanted silence. I didn't want advice. I wanted answers. Answers to questions that ran in loops through my head like some broken film reel. What did I do wrong? Was I not enough? Did she ever really love me? I went over every conversation we'd had in the last few months. Every kiss. Every time she said, "I love you." Was it all a lie? Or had it just faded while I wasn't looking? The worst part wasn't even the betrayal itself. It was the shame. I felt humiliated, small, like I'd been played, and didn't even realize it until the final move. And that shame turned inward. I kept thinking, if I was better, if I was enough, maybe she wouldn't have needed someone else. That thought haunted me the most. Because even though I knew deep down that cheating is a choice, not a reaction, I couldn't stop blaming myself. I was drowning in it. In guilt I didn't deserve, in pain I didn't ask for. I didn't know how to move forward. I just knew I couldn't stay where I was. It didn't happen overnight. Honestly, for a while, it felt like nothing was changing at all. But after a few weeks of barely functioning, of waking up each day with a knot in my chest, I realized something had to give. I couldn't keep living in that same loop of pain and regret. The first step was deleting the pictures. Every photo of us, every video, every memory saved on my phone, I went through them one by one. It felt like peeling off a layer of skin. But when I was done, I felt lighter. Not healed, not even close, but lighter. I unfollowed her on social media. I stopped checking her stories, stopped wondering what she was doing or who she was with. That silence used to terrify me. Now it started to feel like peace. I started journaling just to get the thoughts out of my head. Some days it was angry rants. Other days it was just questions I still didn't have answers to. But it helped. So did the gym. Pushing myself physically gave me a way to release what I couldn't put into words. Eventually, I opened up to my friend Jason. We sat in his backyard one night with a couple beers, and I finally told him everything, no filters. He listened, really listened, and when I was done, he just said, "Man, you loved her. That's not something to be ashamed of." Something about that stuck with me. A few weeks later, she reached out. Just a text. "Hey, I was wondering if we could talk." My stomach dropped. For a second, I didn't know what to do. But I agreed to meet, out of curiosity more than anything else. Seeing her again was strange. She looked the same, but I didn't feel the same. She apologized, sincerely, I think. She cried, said she regretted everything, that she missed me. And for the first time, I didn't feel the urge to fix it. I didn't feel anger or even longing. Just clarity. I didn't need her to make sense of what happened. I didn't need her to explain. Because I was finally starting to understand that closure wasn't something she could give me. It was something I had to find myself. It's strange how pain changes shape over time. In the beginning, it was sharp, raw and constant, like a wound that wouldn't stop bleeding. But now, months later, it feels different, softer, like an old scar that still stings when I press too hard, but doesn't control me anymore. The heartbreak is still part of me. I won't pretend it's gone, but it's part of my past now, not my present. It doesn't define my days anymore. I can walk past the places we used to go without flinching. I can hear her name without my chest tightening. That's progress. More importantly, I've learned things I never would have if none of this had happened. I learned that love isn't always enough if it's not matched with honesty. I learned that silence can be just as damaging as shouting. And I learned how easily we can lose ourselves trying to hold on to someone who's already letting go. But I also learned about self-respect, about boundaries, about how loving someone else shouldn't mean abandoning yourself. People ask me if I'm ready to date again. And the truth is, I'm not, at least not yet. Not because I'm afraid, but because I'm still getting to know myself again. For the first time in a long time, I'm focusing on me, on what I want, what I need, and what I deserve. I don't carry anger toward her anymore, just acceptance. She made her choices and I made mine. And while it nearly broke me, it didn't. I'm still standing. Actually, I'm stronger now. I've stopped looking back. I've started looking forward. I don't know what's next, and that's okay, because I know whatever comes, I'll be okay. She may have broken my heart, but she didn't break me. I found a way to heal, and now I'm finally free. If you're still listening, and if you're going through something like this, if you're waking up every day with a weight in your chest, questioning your worth, replaying memories that now feel like lies, I want you to hear me loud and clear. You're not crazy, you're not weak, and you are not alone. Heartbreak, especially from betrayal, has a way of making you doubt everything, your instincts, your memory, even your value as a person. But someone else's decision to hurt you does not define your worth. You can be the most loyal, loving, supportive partner in the world and still be betrayed. That's not your fault. It never was. There's no timeline for healing. Some days will still suck. Some nights will still feel empty. But little by little, it gets easier. The silence starts to feel peaceful. The pain loses its grip. And you start to remember who you are outside of the person who hurt you. So take your time. Give yourself grace. Let yourself feel it. But don't let it consume you. You'll get through it. You really will. And when you do, you'll realize something powerful. Pain can shape you, but it doesn't have to define you.